Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the May 2nd meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Williams has our dog this morning.
Oh, good morning. We got a 2.5-year-old female here. It's going to be up for adoption on Saturday after 3 o'clock. And just a great dog here, very friendly, great appetite, loves treats and everything. So come out to our kennel, support us. We do have 20 dogs that are available for adoption. And take one of these great animals home with you. So thank you.
He's trying to pick up his last couple crumbs. You see how skinny he is? Poor little thing. Something really nice happened. The dog warden handed me today. Jack, if you want to wait, I'll give this check back to you if you want. It says, Dear Lorain County Dog Kennel, on behalf of the Wrong Side of the Tracks Bar in Grafton, Cleveland Street, and customers would like to give you a donation to support the kennel, or to help your kennel, support and help your kennel. Sincerely, Rose White, Chrissy McDonald, and Betty Zealous. And they gave us a check for $200, and I thought that was really nice, just out of the blue for no reason. They just wanted to help out our dog kennel, and we really appreciate that. We're always accepting donations. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Well, we'll have our started discussion on Land Reutilization Corporation.
Okay. Mr. Cortez, did you want to start, or somebody from our Community Development Department?
Well, we had our discussions last week, and we made a presentation last week with regard to some of the purposes and things that a land bank could provide for the county, and some different discussions on how it could be funded. Decisions need to be made to constitute a board, do letters of incorporation to the treasurer, and on the funding mechanism, which the code allows to a DRETAC increase that's collected on the delinquent and outstanding unpaid taxes on property. So today you have before you three different issues that need board consideration to be able to form that organization. And once you pass resolutions, then there's another whole set of complex things that need to occur moving forward, and still a few months down the road before we get the incorporation back from the state. And in the meantime, we'll run some concurrent processes, preparing plans and things for consideration by the Land Bank Board as they go forward, so that they can get up and running as an organization.
Well, in regards to the Land Bank Board, in my meetings with the county prosecutor, it came up, we can't necessarily form the board. That has to be a co-assignment with the treasurer, because the treasurer has appointing authority also, correct, Jerry?
That's correct, Commissioner.
So that won't happen at these seats. That will happen in a meeting with the treasurer.
Commissioner, if I may, I looked over the proposed resolution in section 4, in which you said establishes the board. If you want to put in there proposes the board, I would delete section 5 at this point in time, because when you submit your articles of incorporation, you can name the directors, but I would recommend that you not include it in the articles of incorporation, because then if you change the directors, you've got to go through the whole state process of amending the articles of incorporation. So we should keep the articles of incorporation as simple as possible. If you want to propose the naming of those directors, you can certainly do that today.
No, we'd have to do that with the treasurer, though.
But the treasurer, right, the
correct.
treasurer's going to
He
have to
isn't-
come back and confirm that.
Right, he isn't here today.
Right.
So we won't be able to go to appointing the board, at least
Right, but
the way my
if
understanding
you
is by
just-
the law.
Right, if you just propose that appointment, you can keep that in the resolution.
Correct.
But you want to take out
So-
section 5.
If we could give a proposal of who we want on the board.
Right.
All right. I spoke with the Attorney General's office this morning. Out of the $93 million, the state's going to put $75 million into play. Lorain County gets $2 million out of the 75.
Is that what they broke
Yeah.
it down already?
It's based off the number of foreclosures.
Okay.
And that money is available with or without the land bank. So it's not necessarily that you have to have a land bank in order to get the $2 million.
Then he's changed his ruling of what he originally stated, because that was the intent originally when he says original designation of the money, that it would go to counties who had land banks set up, because they have a mechanism to handle the foreclosures. That was his original statement
Yeah.
going back to, I can pull out the articles.
Who does the $2 million go to?
Right.
The $2 million it goes to the county, and if you have local entities that have land banks or,
It goes into our general fund?
no.
So who is going to take care of
Like a
this?
municipality, they could actually apply for it, and then they would get a portion of it based off the number of foreclosures in that city. So that's one issue. And I think the land bank can be a great tool if it's developed correctly. Concern I have is with the other counties that are involved in the land bank, they all have support from the local school districts. We don't have that.
Why don't we?
Huh?
I don't understand. You made that statement. Can you tell me why?
Well, the counties went and asked for support from the superintendents of the school districts, asking for them to support the land bank. We don't have support of all of our schools.
We have all of them, but some of the larger ones I spoke to. Mr. Nolan, I spoke to you a week ago. Can I borrow you for a minute up here? Yes. John Nolan is the superintendent of Lorain County Joint Vocational Schools. I spoke with Mayor Rittenauer, who was speaking with Mr. Branham, and from the Lorain City School District was fine.
Over here, fine. Over here.
Over there, John. How you doing?
Good, thank you. You know, I might be able to expedite you being able to reach all the superintendents, actually. Friday morning at 8 o'clock, they'll all be meeting in our building for our monthly superintendents meeting. So it would behoove you, I would think, to reach out to all of them. I'm not speaking on behalf of all the superintendents, but on behalf of myself as a superintendent of Lorain County JVS, I certainly see a great deal of value in this land banking because it's so appealing to development. And we have these blighted areas which are just a burden on the municipalities and on the county and obviously on the taxpayers. And you know, none of us are immune to that today. It used to be in low socioeconomic neighborhoods, and now it could be any one of us at any point in time. And by the way, I'm speaking as a resident of Huron County, and so, you know, and I've been trying to move the Huron County Commissioners towards doing this because I think it's such a wonderful idea. And also, you know, we talk about the infrastructure in Lorain County. Transportation comes up once in a while, I do believe. And, you know, at some point in time, we've got to repurpose our land that we have within the city limits to make our infrastructure work so much better. And also, you know, we see so many, you drive into Lorain in particular and Elyria, and you see all these closed down, abandoned factories that have sat there for years. And if we could repurpose that and attract businesses, you know, I can't think of a developer that wouldn't really be behind this idea, so. Any
Yeah.
questions?
Well, I know, I got an email here from the superintendent of Amherst City Schools, and his statement is that unfortunately I cannot attend the meeting tomorrow. However, I want you to be aware that the Amherst City Schools are opposed to this, as it could result in a loss of $30,000 in revenue. At a time when we are dealing with several reductions in state funding, we cannot afford any additional loss of revenue. The mayor of the city of Avon contacted me as well. He was against participating in it. Want to bring Jerry Innes into the discussion. Looking at the land bank, municipalities would be required to pass a resolution. Is that correct, Jerry?
They have to pass a resolution in order to actually participate in when the program is implemented. The forming, as I read it, the forming of the bank by the county would cover all the entities in the counties, but to actually go in and access properties within municipalities, the individual municipalities
Right.
have to consent to that.
What about the D-tax money? They have to consent to give that money?
My understanding is they don't have to, but I haven't researched
Okay.
that.
And I believe that's under the revised code. It's a county land bank, and based on the county passing resolution and the rates.
You know, if I might add, in our situation, it will cost us $21,000 from all
At the worst year
indications.
ever. All these numbers are based on the worst year ever, 2011.
Highest year.
The highest year,
Highest
yeah.
year.
Right.
Oh, that's the highest year.
And certainly, for school districts that couldn't come at a worse time, as you all know, that we'll be back on the ballot in November, as several of the other school districts will. But, you know, if you look at the benefit, certainly outweighs that loss of revenue to the school district, especially in our scenario, you know, where we're about putting people to work. And, you know, we look at the construction piece of it, but we also look at the expansion of business and industry in Lorain County. You know, when you bring, also as a president-elect of Team Lorain County, when we bring individuals into Lorain County and you're trying to sell blighted neighborhoods, you know, it's not real attractive from that standpoint, and that does hurt us. Thank you very much.
I see Tanya Cages is here are you from the Realtors Association? Who is? Did you want to speak on this matter? I think it's important to have our realtors' opinions on whether or not we should go forward with the land bank and what it might mean to appreciation or depreciation of our properties. I believe having a land bank and getting rid of these unsightly structures is going to eventually reduce the supply and increase the demand, which will in turn cause our property values to go up rather than how they have been going down. But it's up to you if you want to speak. You want to wait? Okay.
Okay. I mean, with the $2 million, it's definitely good money to have. It's something that we can get, and you're looking at about 100 homes to get demolished on there. And then
In the first year, but then
well,
they'll be
that's
continuing.
it. No, it's not continuing.
It's one-time money. This is one-time from settlement money.
For that $2 million, but
Right.
we're going to continue with the DRETAC year after year, and we could also, if we wanted to, borrow money against that if that's something that we would want to do or look at. But eventually, you know, we should be able to get this matter under control. It might take, it's not going to happen overnight, but it'll take a few years, but eventually, you know, we'll prevail.
Yeah, it's not a quick fix. It's a
No.
long-term
Well-
issue that has to be addressed in our communities, just based on the way the economy's been the last 3 or 4 years. Anytime you're making changes, it's not comfortable. There's people who aren't going to agree with it. There's people who are going to agree with it. And we get elected to try and come up with the best way of using what the revised code allows us in promoting and improving all of our communities. So, I mean, we've been talking about this for a couple of years, and it's been going on in other large counties looking at the same problems we've had. Again, we've discussed, our development department's been working on this. Don Romancic and Pat Metzger I don't see anywhere, short-term or long-term, that it won't have a major impact on our communities and clean things up at this point. And it is a small amount of money overall when you're talking about the highest year ever for delinquent real estate tax sum at the 5% was $769,000. Everything I spoke about last week and been working on has been based on a 10-year average, and that's how we came up with a budget of $600,000, and that was with meeting with the county treasurer. So these numbers, as foreclosures go down, the budget will go down, which means less delinquent real estate taxes paid to the schools and the districts it affects. But I think it's a move we need to make to move towards a healthier Lorain County. I mean, again, it'll improve the housing values, clean up the blighted neighborhoods, stabilize our neighborhoods, and in the long term, it will help the school districts and the communities grow again.
I mean, Mayor Smith pointed out to me, he was a little bit more vocal, as the mayor normally is.
Sure.
And his statement was that they can handle it themselves. And
Who's that?
Mayor Smith.
Of Avon.
Well, yeah,
Of
because he
Avon.
doesn't have a problem in Avon.
Well, when they do have to tear it down, he says, we go through, we tear it down, we put an assessment on the property, and then we get it back. Off of last year's numbers, it's $110,000 for the schools and for the city of Avon that they would lose. And that was some of the concerns, is $110,000. That's a police officer there or a firefighter. So, not saying that I'm against it. I do want to get the money from the state, but again, it goes back to the details. And we talked about we have to get a proposal together, and we can put it in there. And we can talk about it now between us. Are you open to expanding the board now? And what I would like to do is
We don't have any judgment in that town. We have to include the county treasurer.
We can, but as
We
a
can
bo-
discuss
we
it.
can
We can
discuss it here,
discuss things, sure.
and we can get an idea of how we're going to look at it, because it would be basically out of the four of us, the majority is right. I would like
I
to
was-
expand it to 7 on it, and I would like to bring in somebody from the Lorain County Realtors Association and have them do an appointment on it, so we have somebody that's actively involved in real estate today and understands commercial and residential. And then I would like to bring in the Township Association President for where he can sit on it or he could appoint it. And it covers the largest area, and their numbers are equal to the second largest.
I
As
was
far as
actually in Mr. Cortez's office yesterday when Mr. Teleric had phoned in and discussed a little bit about the land bank, and one of the things that he said was the original board is really just to be made up of 2 commissioners and the treasurer. And then he said that then it should be expanded, and his magic number and everybody's magic number seemed to be 5 for it to be a working board, and then later could expand it to the 7.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, the procedures and the policy are going to be made with this board, and I would like to have somebody that's got actual real estate experience on here. And that's why I think the Realtors Association would be good. And then,
I do have real estate background.
well, I understand you have a background, but you've been out of it for a while, too. A lot of things have changed over the last few years in real estate market. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to get somebody that actually deals with it day to day.
So, Tom, are you offering to take your seat off the board and give it to Commissioner Kokoski then, if she's not going to fill the real estate position?
No, I'm saying that she can be on the board. We expand it to 7, and she would have a seat on there. And Ohio Revised Code states that it's up to, or it has to have at least 2 commissioners, but you can have all 3 commissioners on there.
So you're looking to exclude Mayor Brenda, who's asked to serve on the board? You got to give me your makeup of 5, Tom.
Well,
Or 7.
The
I'm
7
kind of-
would be the Township Association President, the 3 commissioners, the real
Treasurer.
estate, the treasurer, and then your real estate advisory or association, where they get to appoint someone. And I think that would be our 7, right?
That's
So-
only 6, right?
Mayor Rittenhour.
I am
If
Mayor
you're the city, yeah,
Rittenhour,
Mayor
right.
Rittenhour
Right.
has to be, by
He has
law,
to be on there.
2 commissioners, a treasurer, and the mayor of the largest city.
So
That's
you're
by
taking,
law.
last week you wanted Mayor Brenda, so you don't want Mayor Brenda, now you want somebody from the Realtors Association
Yeah.
and the Township Association?
Well, I always wanted the Township Association on there. And then when I took a look at the numbers, when you include the townships, and they're equal to what the city of Elyria is. And the Ohio Revised Code states that, if you have a township at 10,000, which we don't, but we're projecting future growth in the townships with the sewers going out there, it would be, I think, best suited to have the townships on there.
Well, actually, I don't have a problem with the townships, but my only discussion in regards to townships was it should be from the largest township, because that's what the code infers. A township of 10,000 gets representation. Carlisle's our closest township to get to that number.
Well, you have,
Carlisle Township Trustee, because we still have to set up through the board. These aren't board seats that are going to go in perpetuity. These are board seats that we're going to have to set up once the board's put together, of expiration dates and new people coming on board, because a township representative might not necessarily be an elected official next time through, so they wouldn't necessarily be participating. So based on those issues, 2 commissioners are always going to serve. We know that. There's always going to be a county treasurer, unless we do a charter form of government, of course. But you're supposed to laugh at that, guys. There's always going to be a mayor of the largest city. But when you have from an association, and that changes, is that yearly, Rob? The president of the Township Association is a 1-year?
It's elected yearly, but maximum can be only 2 years.
Okay. As Rob Scheitauer said, the past president, it's elected yearly, but it normally serves 2 years.
It
Maximum.
can be maximum up to 2.
A maximum of up to 2 years, so that may not fall within the term limits of the board. So I think if we pick someone from the largest township, and I actually spoke to Barry Taylor, I don't know if Barry's here this
He
morning
is.
or not, spoke to Barry, a gentleman from Carlisle Township who actually knows the county from a county perspective. He has a financial background. He, or there's even Bob White, who's serving currently as the president, but is a township trustee from Carlisle. I think that would more meet the intent of revised code. When you're saying a 10,000 township, we just lower our restriction to the 7,500.
yeah. And when, at the last Township Association meeting I was at, spoke with the trustees there, and I brought that up about the Township Association President serving, and they were in agreement to it. Bob White could make the appointment, and it could very well be Mr. Taylor. We had a lengthy conversation last night as well. But again, it's something that will be representing all the townships. And since all the townships do take a vote on who's going to be the Township Association President, I think it would be a better fit.
Well, the problem being is the term limit, because it doesn't fit within the term limits because they haven't been decided yet. Maybe a 3-year term you serve on the county land bank. That means they would change 3 times, but the appointment by the land bank would be that person, because it is a person, and they would fulfill a term.
Well, depending on when you get the individual as a trustee, though, you could also have them, if they're not elected, they could get removed.
Yeah, but then they're no longer Township Association President, is what I'm saying. Because that changes yearly.
Right,
move
but
up
they
to
could
chair.
make, Rob, since you're the former association president, would you mind coming up?
Can we finish this, David, before we have your comments?
It's about this.
Okay.
You could go to this one. Rob, you could go to this podium here.
Just make it easy on me, please.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob.
Well,
Good morning.
I'm trying to figure out which would be best for the township, since you're the former president of the association. Can you give me your feelings on this?
I personally would like to see the association vote on this issue to see if the townships even want to get involved in this.
Well,
For one thing.
under the revised code, though, if we create the land bank,
Right.
you're going to be forced into it.
That's
Yeah,
what
you're
I-
part of it with
Yeah.
the land bank, county land
So,
bank,
The
unincorporated
townships
areas.
don't have no option? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's correct.
Correct. You become part of the county land bank.
Right. And pertaining to the president, Bob could be reelected again next year, but who's to say he's going to?
Or if he wants to.
Or if he wants to.
Right.
Yeah. So he is locked in until December 31st of this year. Nominations will be, or elections will be in November of this year.
Right.
But that's a hard thing to say.
Well,
I mean-
actually, you know, it's actually spelled out in the Ohio Revised Code. It says a township of 10,000. Lorain County would just be lowering that to 7,500, the largest township. You know, meeting the intent that was drawn up by the state
Somebody from
legislature
Columbia, or,
with the land bank, which would
Carlisle.
then be Carlisle and whoever that might be. But see, the land bank has to meet yet and pick members. So that would be the 3 commissioners, or 2 commissioners by law, the county treasurer, and the largest city, to pick who those people would be. And nothing against anybody voting for it, but it would be that land bank board that would pick the member. If we made it the intent to be at 7,500, if the land bank made that intent of 7,500, our largest township, and then someone from that largest township to serve a term of while they're in elected office as a township representative, then if it's a 2-year term, a 3-year term, whatever the land bank board decides, that's the term they would fulfill. You know what I'm saying, Rob?
Right.
From a structure standpoint, not a person or a body or a, 1 year in and out. The Township Association Commissioner Williams might like that, but if you're changing bodies from year to year to year, and everybody else is serving a 2 or a 3-year term, and there's been work done on that land bank board, and a new person comes into it, they're a year behind, and then the 3rd year, another person comes in, they're 2 years behind of what's been going on, the actual mechanics of the bank. I don't think that's quite a fit. The Township Association recommends a NOACA, because that's yearly anyway, reappointment, those type of entities. But here a land bank is a quasi-government thing, it's public and private working together. That once you set a board, similar to our team Lorain County, where we have to fulfill terms, and if you're no longer elected, then you're right off the board. I think then the township's gonna have to meet again to have their elections, to determine who their person is gonna be the representative to the following year's board. I don't think it works mechanically with the land bank. That's why I said we're always gonna have 4-year township trustees. And if we pick the largest township, like the original intent of the law, and let Carlisle pick whoever they're gonna have from their township, represent basically all the township's interest on the land bank, and those people report back. I mean, we have the Stormwater District does the same thing. Mark McConnell reports back at the township meetings as to what happened at the stormwater meeting. So, I mean, I think it would fit similar to that.
Well, I personally think the township president should be involved in this and brought it to the body before a decision's made. And maybe, or while I'm still up here, do you guys have an estimate on demolition per house on the cost factor?
The land bank hasn't gotten together yet, and we
Okay.
still have to have all the decisions made. The land bank, with the input from all the communities on how they want it done in their neighborhoods. Mayor Brenda's talked about a lot of commercial property. Mayor Rittenauer's talked about a lot of residential property. Everybody's got a different view on how they have to take care of their community. That will all end up at the land bank and decisions made on where to put the money at, what grants to go for. I mean, there's an entire process here. Today is just the ability to have the treasurer go forward to file the articles of incorporation. That's what today is about.
Okay. Just to let you know, I made a couple phone calls, and the high estimate that I got to tear down a house now, not a building, is between 10 and 15,000. That's the high mark, even with asbestos in it.
Well, we've heard some 20,000, 25,000 from a
Well, I
couple
thought that was
communities.
high.
Yeah.
I always thought
That
it
was the number
was,
stated, so.
Yeah, so I just wanted to tell you what I heard, so if it gives your committee something to work on.
The average is 8,000, and I'm
That's
sure
what
all
I
that will
thought.
come in. You'll have
Yeah.
consultants that will come into
Right.
this. I mean, there'll be an entire slew of other entities. You're not gonna have 5 or 7 people. They make the intent of what a land bank is trying to accomplish, but there will be other people's input on actually how it's going to be done. And the land bank can't tell the city of Lorain, Elyria Township, the city of Elyria, the city of Avon, how to handle their program. This is what's available through the land bank. How does it fit? With the land bank, you get also the ability to not only use the land banking dollars, but to also use brownfield money for redevelopment through an application process, the EPA greening that's available. The EPA has other dollars out there that can be used, that have been used across the country doing these type of projects. So there's an entire program set up. The land bank is just the start. It's the corporation. and then everything else will fill in after that. So I mean, not to oversimplify, but this is the ability to ask the treasurer to go forward to file the articles of incorporation. Then what will happen, the land bank will have to meet the designated members, which are the 4 by law, to decide what the makeup of the board's going to be. That's not something that has to be done in this resolution. I think everybody's putting the cart in front of the horse and trying to do this all in one fell swoop. It's impossible.
One more question I do have. On that layout of the townships, you got the first 3 numbers across there, first quarter or whatever it was. Is that something the townships are gonna pay, or is that something the townships are gonna receive?
I don't know what you're asking me. The first
These,
3, what?
this,
Yeah,
that's the amount of DRETAC money that the township will not receive.
not receive.
Not
Correct.
receive.
Okay,
It's on the penalties and interest
I
money,
got you, okay.
okay?
And
The
I don't-
penalties-
Oh, go ahead.
The penalties and interest money currently is 5% is the penalty. Out of $100, let's say Elyria Township were to get, $5 currently stays in what's called the DRETAC, Delinquent Real Estate Tax Fund. That is split between the county treasurer to go after delinquent real estate people and the county prosecutor's office to do the prosecution. This will now be, instead of getting $95, Elyria Township would then get $90, because $5 of that, the 5% penalty, would now go to fund the county land bank.
Okay.
Understand?
That's
Any
great.
questions? Is that
Yeah.
pretty, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's, but the penalty money, none of the real property taxes ever get touched. You get all your taxes 100% full, and you get 90% of the penalty and interest money, instead of 95% that you got in the past.
Okay.
For example, Sheffield Village, in my talks with Mayor Hunter, they received last year, between the first and second collections of the year, approximately $2,100. They had one area that was $804 that they received out of a TIF area. That was in the first collection. There was no second collection in regards to that, because the people had paid up all their taxes, so that money was never going to be delinquent again. They'd never receive it again anyway. So you can't figure, all these numbers that are based on, I know Commissioner Williams was working on it with his assistant and such, but these were based on the most delinquent real estate property taxes we've ever had, which was last year's numbers.
Yeah, well, just to include, this is the information that was given out in the meeting. It's not that I went out and picked out the highest
No,
one.
no, it was last year.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying that. It was based on the
Okay.
information we had from last year, because that's most pertinent instead of digging up 10 years back. When we had first started meeting with the county treasurer, we had done a 10-year look back, where this 769 number was as low as 143,000 in 2001, and worked our way up. And there were spikes, 05 to 07, 08, and then it spiked up for 3 years. But we know it's going to go down eventually. That's why when the average was placed over to 10 years, it worked out to about a $600,000 budget. We figure we're going to have a couple $100,000 in staffing needs. The intent is modeling it on Hamilton County's Hamilton County's land bank. They're putting it in their port authority. It's a little bit more flexible. It has the ability to bond out. So if you have a steady $200,000 revenue stream, just like with any loan, if you've got an income, you can borrow money against that, that we'd be able to spike up the amount of money that would come into the land bank to move faster into the communities. So when Mr. Williams says $2 million from the AG's numbers this morning, and that's anywhere from 10 or 15,000, to Tom's number, you said 100 homes, Tom, at 20,000 average?
Right.
Okay, whatever that number is, having the ability through the Port Authority to bond out at a $200,000 or $250,000 a year debt service over a 20-year bond, we could probably bring in $3 or $4 million to amp up that process to have more effects on the neighborhoods and the commercial properties that have to be taken care of. That's a lot of the discussion intent being based on models, around the state of Ohio based on our revised code.
One more comment. I'd just like to say that Jack, your dog warden, fixed my daughter up with a beautiful pup coming up. She's picking it up Friday, and he went above and beyond his duties.
Oh, good.
I didn't get a chance to talk to Jack, but if you can relay that message to him?
We will.
Okay.
You'll see it on TV now.
Yeah.
Well,
Two
Jack,
two
you're
good
doing a
marks for the
job.
dog pound today. Good.
Any other questions?
No, I just want to say that last week we had a PowerPoint that many of you weren't here to see, but it's our hope, well, what our plans are is once a house is demolished, the city will determine, basically depending on where the house is, what they're going to do with that property once it is demolished. They could either divide it between the property owners to the sides of that vacant property, and or they can make a park out of it or a community garden, or redevelop it. There's, you know, it depends on, you know, the situation where it's at and what needs to be done with that piece of property. So if anybody was wondering, you know, what happens to that piece of land once it's demolished, so those are some of the answers. But we're just another option for the cities to use. A lot of the cities have CDBG monies that take care of demolition and rehabilitation for housing properties that are, you know, in disrepair. But this is just another tool in the toolbox, is what they say, to help these cities to remedy these problems.
If we could go back then, as far as the expansion of the board, would you guys be in agreement to have somebody from the township on there? We can discuss that later. And then bringing in having the real estate, or Realtors Association pick somebody, and the 3 commissioners and everyone else that we talked about being involved.
I'm actually more comfortable leaving Commissioner Kokoski where she is and bringing in Mayor Brenda from Elyria, which is again the 2nd largest city that has 50-some thousand residents. I mean, that's my comfort level.
Okay.
I mean, Tom, just because I don't hold my real estate license anymore does not mean that I'm not still active as far as properties. I've acquired properties, you know, sold properties, rent properties, you know, everything, even till this day. So I'm not out of the real estate market. I'm actually looking for a house right now, so I'm getting re-educated to where the market is with the short sales and all the different things that are available to selling and buying properties these days, so.
Yeah.
And this was an opportunity to keep you on the board as well. That way all 3 commissioners could be on there.
Well,
But if you're going to say, you know, that I don't have enough real estate background, then I'm going to say it's going to be Ted and I to be on the board. Right?
So do what you say, or I'm out. Okay.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you just brought this up today. This has not been discussed. You didn't bring this up last week. Every week you come up with a new idea.
It was presented to us last week for the first time. I got it, and doing my job, I went back and I did some research on it.
I know you went around.
No offense. We've been talking about the land bank for as long as you've been here. You know, the intent normally that you would have been following a lot of the state legislation and things we talked about up here. I mean, until it got presented to you, you didn't start doing the homework on it.
No, I've actually been going through and looking at it and talking with people, and I'm not the one that actually put this on the agenda at 4 or 3 o'clock. No, it wasn't Teresa, but it didn't come on until 3 o'clock, until the Tuesday before the meeting. I mean,
we talked about it last week, that we were going to put it on this week.
We talked about it last week, and that's what I'm saying. It was Tuesday that it came out on the agenda.
It's finished, yeah, because the community development.
We have other people to talk, so let's go.
The
I won't.
resolutions.
The resolutions what?
The resolutions came out then, but it was always on the agenda.
It was always
Well,
on the agenda.
We have 2. Go ahead, David.
Well, I'm looking at the president.
Yeah.
David Ashenhurst, Oberlin. Having listened to this discussion and not knowing exactly what's in the resolution, I both support, I think, Commissioner Williams' idea of those other 2 entities being involved, but given the NOACA experience, my suggestion would be that you leave it to those 2 bodies to nominate somebody, not pick somebody, because I think they should nominate people and make a recommendation to you, to you guys or to that base board or something like that.
So you think that Carlisle Township should get together and decide which of those 3?
Actually, I think it's more reasonable to have the Township Association do it, and partly the reason I say that is because the Township Association President already has enough to do. But the idea of the Township Association, in whatever process it has, say, this is a person we think would represent the interests of our association best, and give you that choice. If it's a situation like we've had before where it was somebody you really said, we can't work with that person, it shouldn't be that you just go appoint somebody else. It should be that you say, please give us another nomination for these reasons. And then you still retain the appointing authority with you guys, rather than say, whatever the association says, we accept.
The only issue again, David, is how the land bank decides to set up the term limits of people serving on the board. That's all that process that hasn't even been addressed
I
as of yet.
understand.
So
I understand. And
the land
so-
bank will make those decisions. The commissioners can recommend what they'd like to see done. But the land bank with the treasurer and the mayor of the city of Lorain's input will make those decisions
I
accordingly.
understand. I think, as I say, I'm just responding to the suggestion I heard, which sounded to me like a good suggestion, except I think you should say, rather than they appoint somebody to it, say they nominate somebody to it, and then you guys appoint or not appoint their
It's an
nominees,
option.
you know, and ask for another one. But again, it doesn't mean that you have to, that you take a specific individual. I mean, if somebody was a township trustee when they were put on, but then got voted off or something, it doesn't mean that they would have to lose their seat. If the Township Association chose them, they chose them to serve the term, not just to serve the term as long as they were a township trustee.
Because,
Just
we definitely want people to stay on at least a couple, 2-3 years, not change
As I say, just
change hands every year.
tell them, we need a nominee for a 3-year term or whatever it is, and then let the association figure out how to.
That may be a good suggestion, but I think it calls for an elected township person. I'm looking through all the revised code right now, David. That's why I'm saying,
But
based on what the
if we
code
don't
allows.
if we don't have the need, I mean, if we don't have a township of 10,000 or something that is there by, then can't we say it? Does
Well,
it have
could be
to be
just
an
an
elected
appointment. It
official?
could just be an appointment then at that point, yeah, like you're saying. But I was just asking our land bank to lower it to 7,500, mimicking or copying what the Ohio Revised Code said.
Well, I think given that we have a whole lot of townships and none of them reach quite that level, I think leaving it to the association to nominate somebody makes more sense. Just an opinion.
Hi, we just need you to state your name and address for the
Kimberly
record.
Gelker,
I do.
48215 Russia Road. Good morning.
What was your name again?
Kimberly Gelker, 48215 Russia Road, South Amherst. I'm here on behalf of the Realtors Association. Not knowing what decision you guys make, we just wanted to extend our experience, our expertise. If you guys take whatever decision, our doors are open to the 3 commissioners with open arms and hands to help you guys out with whatever you guys need.
Great.
Okay?
Appreciate that.
Because
Thank
what
you.
can be done on this, and I didn't quite get into it, David sat down and I let him finish so you could speak, Kim. There's also the ability to have alternates on the board for 2 of the members.
Okay.
The treasurer may have an alternate, and 1 commissioner may have an alternate to sit in their place.
Okay.
And the land bank is going to be all public meetings, so I think the input's going to be there automatic. This isn't something closed door, it's a public meeting, correct, Jerry?
That's correct.
So it will
Commissioner.
be advertised, its meeting, and all the input will come in there, and I don't think the land bank will not listen to all the input of those meetings.
Okay. That's good to know then.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you guys could put a representative up who's going to, inform your membership of what's going on with the county land bank. Maybe you have somebody who's in the legal end and real estate end that would do both.
Commissioner,
As a
let me
diff-
let me point out that in the regulations, it indicates that you can have any number of non-voting members on the
Correct.
board, too.
I was going there
And
next.
and ex officio members. So the regulations do speak to a cooperative effort in the future.
Okay.
I would hate to take, in today's resolution, lock what the commissioners' intents are and purposes, because it's still got to be referred to the land bank with Mayor Rittenhour and with the county treasurer today, based on putting into resolutions and filing articles of incorporation. Then there's a change on the land bank's opinion on how it should go, or the board is made up, and then have to refile for changes to our articles of incorporation. Again, this meeting and the resolution here is to approve the treasurer to go forward on filing articles of incorporation. Correct, Mr. Innes?
Commissioner, after rewording, looking at that rewording, and I thought the intention of Section 4 was to establish the permanent board. I see it's just the initial board. So we will have to go ahead and decide whether you want 2 or 3 commissioners on that original board. So we can leave Section 4 and just take Section 5 out, which says put it in the Articles of Incorporation.
Commissioners, when I crafted the resolution, I put the initial, and I did use the word initial there, in the resolution, and I left a number of board members open. I thought it was, would be presumptuous of me to think that I knew your mind on what you were going to appoint. So all I put in that resolution was those folks initially that were identified by code, or could be identified by code as being on the board. And the rest was left to the will of this board today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Anyone with your
That's it? Nobody else? Well, how are we going to proceed then? We do want to make a resolution to authorize the treasurer to do the articles of incorporation.
Jerry, can you help us with the final
Well, if you
language,
just
please?
use section 4, it'd say the board hereby establishes the initial board of directors for the County Land Reutilization Corporation consisting of the following members, and then leave those 5 in there, and then delete section 5 altogether.
And that would allow us to move forward with the articles of incorporation and expansion of the board once the bank gets together.
That's
and a
correct.
treasurer and 1 commissioner select.
And when the bank gets together, they will have to either certify the initial board or, determine a different board.
Correct. This is just to move it forward. Do you have all that, Teresa?
Request County Treasurer to file initial articles of incorporation to enable the formation of Lorain County Land Reutilization Corporation in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 5722.02 and establish the board of directors.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll move to,
And the 5 being the 3 commissioners, the treasurer, and the mayor of the largest city.
correct, as the
Okay.
initial
Right.
board under articles of incorporation.
And at any time, it doesn't matter, we don't have to wait a certain amount of time, anytime we can increase that to 7.
We don't have that choice, no. The Land Bank will make that decision. The Board of Commissioners do not have that authority. This is about the
Gotcha.
filing for articles of incorporation and starting the original board. And then all that will be determined by the Land Bank Board.
Okay. I'll second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Nay.
Public hearing, huh?
So I'm assuming the other 2 we're not doing because we have to wait till it comes back, correct?
We have to wait until the
Thank you.
Land Bank meeting.
Okay.
The other 2 what?
The other 2 then are on there, accept the articles and then authorize the 5%.
Right, Jerry said not to do these yet. I
Wait.
met with Jerry this morning, not to do the next 2.
You can do C if you want. B, you need to wait till,
Okay, we can do C, but not B at this point?
right.
Is that the clarification?
Do you want to read that, Teresa?
Authorize enacting and designating an additional 5% of all collections of delinquent real estate, personal property, and manufactured mobile home taxes and assessments to be deposited in the delinquent tax and assessment collection fund for the use of and appropriating such amount to the use of the Lorain County Land Reutilization Corporation.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I just want to say, I believe this is something that we have to do. If we don't do this, things are never going to get any better. It's for the betterment of the entire county, and that's why I feel it's necessary to do. I think maybe I said it wrong earlier, Mr. Williams. I didn't mean it that, however you took it is not how I meant it to come out. But when we said 5 members of the board,
This isn't there.
in order for all 3 of us to be on there, having my real estate background qualified me to be the 3rd person on the board. And we wanted all 3 of us to be able to be on that board. So it wasn't that if you don't agree with me, then I'm not going to do it your way. That's not the way I meant it. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye?
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Nay.
Commissioners, we do need to do a couple other things. We need to appoint a statutory agent. That can be changed, but you have to establish somebody to receive mail, and we need to establish a mailing address, at least initially. Those do have to be in the Articles of Incorporation.
And it can't be here?
Yes.
Can be.
Oh, can be here?
Can it be the Lorain County Port Authority and the address,
Well, we need to have a person.
a person? Would we do Don Romancic or Pat Metzger or Jim
I'll
Cordez?
I'll take care of that.
Can you
for
take the acting work on this until the board gets going?
Yes.
Do we want to name Mr. Cortez then?
Is that a motion?
And
Need
the
a
address
motion?
here at the, okay.
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion, or are you just going to?
Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion to have Jim Cordez and this 226 Middle Avenue as the address designated for the
Statutory
Appointing
agent.
authority.
the appointing authority.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Okay. A little bit late, but that's okay.
That's all right. We're allowed to start late, just not early.
On the public hearing, today was continued for the request that was received from Amherst Township Trustees on March 8, 2012, to vacate the undedicated right-of-way known as Cherry Hill Drive in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 5553.045, and it was continued based upon a solution being worked out. I'll turn it over to Jerry.
Commissioners, if you recall at our last discussion, there was some mention that a solution was being worked out with the adjacent landowners and the engineer's office. That is still in process, and it needs a little bit more time. The problem we have is that the mechanism that has been proposed right now is by the Board of Trustees, and that cannot be continued. There is a methodology for continuing it, and that is for the commissioners to bring it up on their own resolution. So I met with the Board of Trustees of Amherst Township. They are willing to withdraw their motion under Section 5553.045 if the commissioners will reintroduce a motion to vacate. And what we would do is then just schedule this for a hearing like in September or something like that, and hopefully it'll be all worked out before then. But we would need a motion by the or resolution by the commissioners to vacate Cherry Hill Drive pursuant to Section 5553.04 of the revised code.
All right.
Do we need a resolution accepting the withdrawal from Amherst Township or no?
Yes, we should do that.
Okay, I make a motion to accept the withdrawal from Amherst Township regarding the vacation of Cherry Hill Drive.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
I make a motion that the commissioners vacate Cherry Hill Drive not to exceed September.
You want to set a hearing date on that, Teresa?
Do we have should be a Wednesday?
She's got her calendar somewhere.
You're going to be able to work this out by then, right, Mr. Carney? This will be worked out prior to September, I hope.
He's just so laid back.
He is.
With any luck, it'll be a done deal, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing will be done.
September 12th,
September 12th.
At
9:45.
9:45.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Can I do one thing more, Commissioner, just to see if, is there anybody here for that hearing this morning?
Anybody here for Cherry Hill?
Okay.
I
Just
don't
want
see
to make
any.
sure they understood what was happening.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yeah, something else.
Thank you for working on that, everyone.
I'll get you a copy of that.
Okay.
Okay, under resolutions, job and family services bills,
So moved?
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Investments,
So moved?
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Appropriations,
So moved?
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Transfers,
So moved?
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions,
So moved?
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Travel,
So moved?
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Bills,
So moved?
Second.
discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
I just
Under-
have one question before we move forward. I'm not sure if it was in, I think it was in appropriations. We did like $50,000 loan for ditch cleaning. Is that through our SWAC or is that is that an advance for SWAC?
$50,000 for ditch cleaning. That would have been through stormwater district funds.
Okay.
And we did that log jam removal and ditch cleaning a while back. Some of those bills are coming due. Plus, we have the grant monies that we're working on now too with the various townships. Very successful program.
Right, okay, thank you.
Under the airport, advertise for bids for building roof replacement, notice in the Chronicle on May 7th and 14th, and open at 2 on June 5th.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion?
Can we have just a second on that?
Absolutely.
With regards to the roof there, it's not on the hangar, it's on a supplemental building out there that hasn't been improved in 20 or 30 years. Before we get emails saying that we're putting money into the airport, it's going into a tertiary building that the county owns and uses, not into what you would call airport infrastructure. Sometimes we get a little bit beat up on spending money at the airport, so I think it needs clarification that we occupy and own and have agencies in this building separate from the airport operations.
Correct. Thank you.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cortez?
Commissioner, I do have a potential hire at Golden Acres. I also wish to update you on issue regard to the labor contract at Job and Family Services. Both of those topics are allowable under the Sunshine Law for executive session talks, so I ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting today, we go into the executive session and have those talks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the same in the County Commissioners meeting minutes of April 25th.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Adopt to include in the Personnel Policy Manual fraud reporting and whistleblower protection in accordance with House Bill 66 effective May 4, 2012.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Did you want to talk about that?
Well, just a little bit. First, I want to thank Madam Clerk for working on this and getting it over to us. We've been so swamped. The law's just recently changed, and we have an obligation now to not only notify new employees when we hire them, which we have a packet of materials with EEOC and prevention of sexual abuse, harassment and drug abuse policies that they have to sign. This is a new one they have to sign. They also have received, in addition to the ethics law, which a few years ago similarly was mandated by the state that they receive a copy of the ethics law. Plus, we have an obligation now to go back and notify all of our employees of this new hotline that's been established out of the AG's office. So we're taking those steps, but we were running a ragged edge here, and Teresa pulled this stuff up and helped out with this, so I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Teresa.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under Job and Family, approve agreement with various transportation companies to provide non-emergency medical transportation services for state fiscal year 13, effective July 1st, 2012 through June 30th, and this should be 2013. Authorize director to execute and amend for changes in programming content and increased value on behalf of the board with prosecutor's approval as to form. 1, Provide a Ride Cleveland in the amount not to exceed $400,000, and then Life Care Wheelchair Services Elyria in the amount not to exceed $650,000.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Cortez, are we unable to collaborate with Job and Family Services to double this money with our transit?
A lot of this is becoming the catch-22. Job and Family Services used to purchase a great deal of transportation tickets for their consumers. As reductions in transit took place, obviously the routes weren't running in all the areas it needed to do, and they had to rely on other means of transport to meet the demands of their customers. Somewhere, somehow in this community, we have to figure out how to leverage all those dollars so that we have a dedicated, or at least an anticipated, rather than the word dedicated, I think anticipated is just as good. So we know what we put on, we can expect that revenue to come in. The problem became just buying fare box tickets didn't give us enough understanding of considering the revenue streams as things started to be cut. I know there's been various efforts at a coalition to sit down and discuss these things, but convenience becomes the biggest issue, and the hugest obstacle we have to overcome. I think we need to work more diligently on this summer as a community to try to leverage these resources. We've talked about it with regards to the veterans. There is an issue I think we're going to talk about here with regard to transit later. I know that was one of those issues we were talking about, just talking about it in admin, but we can talk about it any time during the board meeting with regard to additional services.
Yeah.
And I think we need to start looking at these opportunities of collaboration more fully. I don't want to impede private companies making a profit and employing people out there, but also I want to leverage federal dollars back into this community. And if that means though that the board has to take a leap of faith and reinvest in transit. And I know that's been difficult. I know we're scraping under the barrel now for funds, but without that reinvestment in transit, we cannot gain the collaboration of the other people in the community. It's going to be a difficult thing for you guys going forward. But we need to have those conversations, and the board needs to indicate to those folks that if they come to the table and to take a leap of faith in us, that we're going to provide additional resources so that they can understand that when they trust us going forward, that service will be there.
Well, this is $1 million here that we're going to approve that could turn into $2 million for the county. So do we want to approve this or wait and see if we can have discussions
I know
with
they
Mary
have
Lou?
they have this need now. I don't know what the clawback or exit clauses are in those contracts. I know that they have customers that need service now. Certainly, I think we could wait a bit and maybe put some clause in the contract that allows for it to go quarterly or something like that. I have to take a look at it. I'm not really sure, but again, if we develop that service, we got to stay committed to that service. We did have a lot of partners through workforce development and job and family services before that purchased blocks of tickets. What I need to convince them to do is commit to that and make sure it's always there for us so we can count on that when we leverage our dollars.
Yeah, actually I had a conversation with Goodwill, and while they may not be willing to give up their money for it, what I did ask for is the data as far as what their transportation is so we can see what the needs are throughout the county. Then I spoke with Pam to see if she could reach out to other groups to find out where their ridership is, and then we can come up with a logistic plan on how to create a better transit. And then I think the next step is going to be, I think we know it's going to be Oberlin, Lorain, and Elyria, then going back to them, showing them what type of numbers they are. Let's see if we can get them to invest into the transit system as well.
Oberlin's been an exceptional partner.
Right. Oberlin's been well for millions, actually.
Been great.
And I was just going to get there.
Avon Lake had done a nice job when we had the connector for a while there.
They did until their resources were strained too.
And we've had no luck with the other communities, and we've tried for years.
Well,
because of budgets.
But remembering that until we make the ability for somebody to ride it and get to a place in a reasonable amount of time, we're going to suffer difficulties with that. The bus used to go to Job and Family Services quite often. In fact, so often it became an issue where the bus came on the property and dropped people off in the winter and so forth. It's not an issue anymore because the bus doesn't go there very much. So can we do a better job? I think so, but it's going to take a lot of effort on a lot of people's part, and it's going to take a lot of desire because there's going to be a lot of inconveniences while we try to struggle with a better outcome.
Yeah. Well, the struggle is going to be getting that data to collect that.
Yes.
And then put into something that we can formulate a plan.
Okay.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Advertise RFPs for TANF Summer Youth Employment Program, notice in the Journal on May 7th and 14th, and open at 2 p.m. on May 21st.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the engineer award contract to Dennis Concrete Wellington, an amount of $155,222.75 for the Gore Orphanage Road Bridge 0510 replacement project in Brain Township. 3 bids were received on April 17th, this being the most responsive complying with specifications. Estimate was $170,000 and project will be paid through a $188,000 OPWC loan to be paid back over 30 years at 0% interest. Balance of funds will be paid from the MVG Bridge Engineer Project. Issue notice to proceed on or before May 30th and complete on or before August 10th. Authorize administrator to notify the auditors to release retainage at completion of project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Receive and journalize the annual report on condition of ditches under County Maintenance Fund 2012 and authorize auditor to continue maintenance fee rates as recommended by the engineer to clean and maintain various county ditches for the year 2012, tax lien 2011, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 613706.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the prosecutor, approve a quitclaim deed parcel 0300095113019 in 1972-1974 East 33rd Street, Lorain. This was ordered by the court to dispose of forfeited real property, case 08CR075286 to Sun Rentals, LLC, Elyria.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Cortez, County Administrator?
Thank you. Just one brief comment. This Saturday is commencement at Lorain Community College. I usually go out to commencement. I've had a few of my children be part of the commencement, but I usually like to go. They graduate thousands of students there. It's on a Saturday. It does take some time, but to come out and watch the excitement in both young and old as they achieve their dream right here in Lorain County on our campus, and through the university partnership that brings bachelor's and master's degrees here, it's quite an awesome event. It's usually well attended, but nothing is more amazing than the smile you see when somebody's given that degree as they pass over that stage. That's why I always like to go to commencement. I've gone for the last 6 or 7 years and enjoyed watching that. So congratulations, a pre-congratulation to all our newly graduated students and to the college, because the number is awesome this year. It's the biggest number of graduating students they've ever had. And so if you have a little bit of time, you want to stop out there, please do so. That's all I have this morning. Thank you.
Go ahead. Jim?
Oh, I thought you were going to do that under...
Well, I decided to do it now since...
Okay. We have an event coming up at the airport, as we were talking about earlier. The May 19th is gonna be that day at the regional airport. A lot of people invested a lot of time and effort in this. We're down to minimal support at the airport. We're keeping the gates open and the grass mowed, and we're growing corn on every square inch of the property. And I'm thinking about growing a little bit on the roofs too, because we need the revenue. Well, it's true. The number one producing revenue out there is growing corn. But for those that have been not as supportive of the airport, and I can understand why in these tough times, we only have $50,000 of general fund money supporting the airport. Everything else is generated on that property or through fees or through the FBO out there. It's no longer the days of several hundreds of thousands of dollars, and more than that at times. It used to be sometimes $600,000-700,000 supporting the airport. The commissioners haven't had the resources. So when people look at the reports from the airport and they see, well, it's $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 to operate the airport, only $50,000 of that is generated from the general fund. The rest is generated in fees and fuel surcharges and again, growing of corn and the croplands out there, and some FAA dollars that come in to assist us with the airport. A lot of people don't know that, and they just assume when they see the budget of the airport that that's all coming from the county general fund. So please come out on May 19th. They really need the support. We really need some good things to happen out at that airport. Thanks, Teresa. I thought we were going to cover it under...
I know. Can you switch us over, though?
I can switch you back. Thanks.
Mr. Innes, Assistant County Prosecutor.
I have no report this morning, Commissioners.
Commissioners report.
Yeah, a few years back, I did take a trip up in one of those small two-seater planes and got to fly around Lorain County. And the most amazing thing to me was I've lived by the Ford plant, practically my whole life, but it was amazing to see it from the sky. It's so enormous. It looks like a little city in itself. It was amazing. It's really cool. Just want to remind everybody, Friday, I know David Ashenhurst will be happy that I reminded everybody, May 4th is Transportation Day here on the 4th floor. Some of the things that they'll be talking about, Ohio Department of Transportation District 9, Neo-Sustainable Communities Transportation, Linking Employment Abilities and Potential, LEAP West Shore Corridor Transportation Project update, which that means probably Betty Blair will be here. And then with some really exciting, the Jet Express Casino trip update. So a lot of people might want to find out about what's going on with that. I'm kind of curious. And the presentation will start at 9 o'clock. I just want to wish everybody a happy Cinco de Mayo this weekend and have a safe and healthy weekend. That's it.
Thanks, Commissioner. This week, a busy week all around. We had the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce Board meeting. I sit on the board. Welcome new members for the quarterly meeting. Just a lot of discussion about the condo that hasn't sold yet and possibly going to auction, along with other benefits of being a chamber member. And in May, we will be holding a push for new membership. Attended Workers' Memorial Day, presented a proclamation on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners. Great turnout, a lot of talk about those who have lost their life or been injured in the workplace. Last night I attended a Northeast Ohio Sustainable Communities Vibrant meeting in Amherst. Had 50 or 60 youth from around the county discussing on what would make a vibrant Lorain County. Transportation issues were one of those main issues. I talked about skilled workforce would make us more vibrant because more people working. Also attended with Commissioner Williams last night, the Lorain County Friends of Lorain County Junior Fair meeting in regards to fundraising and looking to raise more money towards helping fund OSU Extension to qualify for a 4-H program. Also, Jim, I won't be attending community college because my son's graduating from Capital, so I'll be at Capital. We're actually closing the store for a day. The whole family's going down, but Teddy's graduating 4 years, double major, so he's done very well, and we're very proud of him.
Graduation, that's a very fine college, Capital.
He made it through somehow.
Must take after his mother.
He does. Takes after his mother.
It wasn't through lineage. No, never mind.
Also, we had a request from the county sheriff this week. Phil, if you could join us up here. In regards to a knife, basically, that all new deputies will receive, but I will give this to Sheriff Stammitti if it pleases the board.
Yep, please.
Thank you, Commissioners. I did bring a copy of the knife that I have one right here, so wanted to
Got
show
the
it to you.
Buckeye Sheriff logo on it?
Yeah,
or
it's got the
something?
BSSA logo on it. And obviously, you know, some people get like a watch when they retire and other things. This way, these guys can get this knife. And like I say, it's a minimum cost of like $20, you know. So I needed, obviously, a resolution from you to approve that, so.
Again, it's pretty diminished. I don't know if you need a resolution. You can do that just because you want to support it, but on something that diminished, you know, that's something the sheriff can obviously make a decision on whether they get to keep that.
Yeah. I think you got the support of the entire board.
Oh,
At least
absolutely.
me.
Yeah, Tom just asked to have it done from up here, which is fine. We can do
I
a
appreciate
resolution.
it.
Yeah, we could do a resolution. Might as well
Commissioners,
just
I
have- we'll have it up.
recommended to the sheriff that you pass a resolution finding this to be of no value to the county,
Okay.
authorizing the sheriff to dispose of it.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Any further discussion? Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
All right.
The other thing, Sheriff, while you're up there, I saw that you got a nice letter from the city of Elyria thanking you for helping when Obama was here 2 weeks ago, for your support and aid during that time. So
Yes,
they
we
just
had our SWAT
congratulated you
team out
for
there,
helping.
and
and-
obviously the auxiliary and everything else. And if I could, thank you, Commissioner. If I could also, I did want to publicly thank County Administrator Cordez for his assistance in apprehending that theft up.
Yeah.
I told him I was going to give him an honorary badge, but I think one thing he did learn, though, is when you actually got somebody apprehended and you're waiting for the police or the deputies to get there, it seems like an eternity, but it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
not. But
It does, but they were there quick, and
Yep.
they were professional, and they dealt with it, and I was at the end of my rope, so I was just glad they showed up.
well, excellent job, and that's what we need, citizens' involvement to
Yeah.
help us out and report things when they see it. And on a sad note, I don't know if you had heard, but a couple weeks ago, Corrections Officer Metler's dog, Casper, I don't know if you remember Casper, he actually passed away from cancer, so you had to put him down, but that was a
When are we
great
going
dog.
to have our new deputies introduced?
Yep, that, we are going to bring the new dogs up here. We actually still have 2 of them in training right now, and Rich Niesenbaum has his dog out, and Adam Crifoletti, but we're training 2 new ones for the jail right now, too, so.
May 16th at 9:30.
May
Yes, I think
16th.
Captain
Okay,
Dudowski
we have
already
it.
set up an appointment for that, but, yeah, we'll have them all up here so you guys can see them.
Okay.
In the public.
Real quick, you had one of your former, or deputies. There's having a fundraiser coming up at the Crushers, right, this season. Thought I seen on Dave Edwards.
Yes, for
He's
Tom
putting that.
Tomaszewski?
Right.
Yes.
When's that date again?
You know, I don't have that flyer at home. Do you know, Captain?
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
It's at our department. I can send you a copy of it, Commissioner.
It's just a great fundraiser to bring funds up for the family.
Yep,
and
I will
that's,
make sure I get that over to you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
More things than you can have at time.
Okay.
Also, I'd like to thank everyone who attended Lorain Cancer Crushers Relay for Life fundraiser. We had 400 people honoring Coach Jim Lawhead, and his son Jason was the stand-up comedian who came in Saturday. It was a great event. I'd like to thank everybody. Just a wonderful event. Also, one other thing, Commissioner Williams brought up last week about doing an admin session here out in the public, which we all agreed was fine. Like, no, after we finish the meeting, before going to executive session, take a 5 or 10 minute break, come back into the admin session. I'd like to discuss the bus routes that we've been getting information on the past 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. End of my report now.
All right. Actually, I had a good meeting with the clerk of court's office yesterday, and I went over there and met with the deputy clerk, Kathy. She gave me a very good insight of what's going on there, and very pleasant. We had some good discussion. We talked about House Bill 509. I did find out that that did pass last week. It's going to be going through the Senate, and I would encourage you guys to contact Senator Manning and let her know that we could also use some help with getting increase in fees to do some covering of the costs there. So 509 did go through. I'm going to have another meeting coming up with them. We're looking at possibly inviting the state reps and state senator coming in, and the local media too, to go through and talk about the issues that they're having over there. So, and of course, you guys are invited.
If you'd like, we can do it through the Commissioners Association, do a legislative thing similar to last year, and maybe bring up the clerks from our other abutting counties who are having the same issues in regards to what's happening in 509.
Yeah, well,
multi-county like we did last year.
Right. The Clerks Association was the ones that supported the 509, but yeah, we could bring in the county Commissioners Association as well. So.
And they can coordinate the 4 counties with the Clerks Association.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it's going to be going through the Senate yet. I can find that out, but something we should work on.
Well, we could have our clerk work on it. Our clerk work on it for the Clerk of Courts Association with our Commissioners
you'd like me
Association and
to
do a
do.
legislative. Well, Tom said he'll get back to us on when it's
Okay.
going to be rushing through the Senate, which will probably be in the fall.
I'll have an answer for you later this week, Teresa. So.
Okay.
And well, you mentioned everything else that we kind of did, Ted. We were at similar meetings. So, end of my report.
Board correspondence?
I move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Public comment?
Anybody wishing to discuss anything today with the commissioners? Seeing none, I move we go into executive session as outlined by the
No, we're going to
administrator.
go into we're going to take a
Administration.
5-minute break and then
Make it
come
10.
back. All right.
Oh, we're
Give
going
us
to do
10.
administrative
And then
session
we'll do the admin out here
first?
first, then we'll go do executive. It
Okay.
means the public, if they
Okay.
want to listen to us talk about buses, maybe.
Well, it's not, I mean, these administrative are not taped or.
No.
Right, they're not,
No.
they're just admin
Okay.
meetings,
Right.
so, but they
10
want to do them out
minutes
here,
administrative
so.
session.
Yeah.
And then do you want to do a
Executive.
motion now
To
to
go
go
into
into it
executive,
after
yeah.
you're done?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session after our administrative session.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.